I met a gypsy.
I was still pretty like wound up about the whole cheating thing. Like I was thinking to myself, like
I was watching a bunch of shit on YouTube, like all people's takes and stuff on it.
while we were waiting for pizza, I went on Facebook and this thing come up of Vital MX, and the kids now come out and
I watched
talked
it.
about it.
I watched
did you?
it. Yeah. The thing, actually, I'll add to it now that I've like got additional context of watching these videos. So the kid says, and I actually went and like just checked the kid out on Instagram to see who he was. He follows the podcast, so like he'll probably listens to the podcast. So first of all, this ain't personal. Like, you know what I mean?
Not at all.
Yeah, like it's a real kid that's on the other end, a 17-year-old that's like dealing with all this shit.
Yeah.
So like any of these takes, any of it, it's just not personal, and so that has to be kind of said, because I feel like all this can get muddy when you're like given a perspective, but it's like directed at a person, but you're sort of not directing any like ill will towards like the person itself. It's just like an objective, like zoomed out view of the situation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it is. Yeah.
But like after I watched it, so he's like, he pretty much he said he went to his dad in March and said, "This is my plan. I want to do this at Loretta's." Right there, it's just like
yeah, exactly. Like,
and I'm like, I fucking took everything.
When you said right there, I was already thinking before you said that, like right there, like
that's a massive issue here, right? So shouldn't that be the message, like from the dad to the son, like, hey man, like if you really want to ride a factory bike, then like claiming Haiden Deegan's bike is like probably not the way to get it done. And then a lot of the comments are saying like, this is crazy from Yamaha to do this. And like, this is like I guess the onus is like, or the emphasis is put on like how this is like a gnarly deal from Yamaha. It's like, not really. I mean, you got...
In what way, sorry?
That like the kids getting bullied and like Yamaha's breaking the rules and like all this sort of stuff. And it's like, this is within the rules. And it's like, okay, this goes to like freedom of speech. Like, yeah, you have freedom of speech. It's like, oh, well, yeah, like you're right. You can say what you want to do. You're within your right to say whatever, but there just might be shit that happens as a result of that.
Consequences.
Yeah.
So I guess what I thought about is, and it's still, I still haven't changed my thoughts on it. It's just that there's a breakdown in how the ruling is for that, in my opinion. That's what the problem is. Like, this is just blowing out way out of proportion.
Crazy,
The fact that I'm still even talking about this blows me away. Like, but that we're in this, that they're in this situation because of that rule. Like, there isn't a rule to say that you can't
modify your bike.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's a rule to say you can't change the bore and the stroke.
Yeah.
And then you have to run like a stock gearbox or whatever.
But not in terms of like modifications to make that 250 bore and if you're using that gear, the standard gearbox to actually make and performance enhance it. There's no rules around that, right?
Yeah. No.
And that's where I think that probably they need to have a look at it and go, well, it's probably... I get that they want to have like a restriction of spin, right? Like
that should be. That's a smart move.
Yeah, it's not a bad move, but then I guess then the manufacturers have to, like, if it caused that much of a dilemma, they have to think, well, maybe then we have gone too far at this level with the performance of the bikes. I don't know.
Yeah,
but you said one was worth what? Who?
Well, I heard, this is what and it's from a really good source, that they were selling Ryder D's bike after the race for like $42,000 or something.
Right. Yeah.
So, but the thing, that rule definitely does have to be in place. I think that's a good idea, but it's just like anything, you got to adjust for inflation. Like, you literally can't even buy a set of cone valve suspend. That's probably going to set you back like $8,000. So if you've got the retail value of a bike is $8,000, and then you want to go and put some good suspension, like, it's sort of the market, I guess, like the aftermarket industry doesn't really align with that rule, if that makes sense. And then the thing that there's a real gray area, and it's funny because like in the past, I've probably been more on the side of, like, I definitely don't think amateur kids should be making a boatload of cash, and I definitely don't think that factories should be pumping millions of dollars into these kids. But at some level, it's like, okay, well, this kid is now about to be pro, and there's just a whole program that is like built around these guys, and there's a certain level that you've got to be at when you go pro, and it's like it makes sense to sort of give the factory some incentive to like develop these riders, because that is the future of our sport, you know.
Yeah, I don't believe it's the term they're built around the riders. It's built around their brand, right? Because they're investing in their brand for the future, so that they can have hopefully some success as pros. That's really what they're investing in my opinion.
Yeah,
you know, you go back and you look at, well, I mean, Cowie's done it now since forever. You know, if you look at the program they've had in place, and then Geico had a pretty strong program for a long time, and now Stars there, KTM, I assume, have had it now for quite a while as well. So that there's an investment in their brand to then for those riders to want to be a part of that program, so that they look to taking them into those pro ranks, right?
Yeah, and then I think,
and it's a young man's sport.
Yeah,
that's something that has to be taken into consideration. You know, like you go into pro racing and you're expected, if you're one of those, you know, prodigies, to perform within at least by the second year, at least.
So I just think that, and the other thing is like a factory bike, and I think that the whole thing seems to center around the fact that there was like a factory motor in there, and like I trust Brian when he says to me that like they just didn't use a factory motor. Like I do believe when he says that, and it's like, even though it's not a factory motor, there's like ignitions that they use, and there's, you know, like the head probably looks the same. Like there's probably a lot of stuff that is the same. It's not necessarily factory that no one could buy, or it's like unobtainium, but it's like a factory specification, and like that has taken that, like you said before, that's Stars IP. And it's like, if there's just a rule that you can exploit that would force these guys to hand over their IP, then again, there's just no incentive for them to then do this. Like if this becomes a precedent in every national that you go to.
Yeah, well, that's what I said earlier.
Yeah.
You know, because at the end of the day, they're investing in their program for them to then prepare these riders, you know, for the future. And then all of a sudden they go, whoa, if this is going to carry on in the future, like something would have to change at that point.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway.
I think it's just a crazy concept that you can just I didn't know that was. I don't think I was aware of it.
So I was doing some listening, and apparently this happened to Carmichael when Carmichael went back and raced Loretta's, because people were assuming that he was just going to rock up on a Makita Suzuki. So then apparently,
someone purchased his bike.
Yeah, I don't know what the result of it was, but I think that there was some stuff. It just sounds dumb as fuck.
Yeah,
like
it does.
The whole thing, you know.
Yeah, just to me, it sounds like a rule that shouldn't be there.
Yeah,
but yeah,
and it's a bummer. I think at the end of the day, the people are painting this kid that did the claim out to be like a bit of a victim, like he's got bullied and this. I feel like what happened is like, hello, welcome to business. Like this is the way the business world works. You know, you do something that someone doesn't want to do, then on their side they do something to stop you doing what they like. No laws got broken. Like, welcome to the big leagues. And I honestly feel like the victim in it is Haiden. Like, here's a kid that's just doing his shit, and then he's riding the bike that he gets given on a big week that's in his life, and it's
unfortunately just, like, he was, you know, like if you went on YouTube that week, I think I said this to you. I mean, he was the clickbait of the week. So you know, he's being dragged
everyone through. This will go up as a clip on YouTube that'll have like a title, and you know, and then we'll make money off these views, and just that's the ecosystem that we live in that he's in right now, you know.
That's right.
But it's like, I don't to just plead like the victim status on like this end is like, you did it to Haiden Deegan, you did it like, you know what's going down, then you say you want to do it for your YouTube. It's like, yeah, fair enough.
Right, let's put that to.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.